into positions of hopelessness and helplessness. The government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America. No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human. God damn America as long as she tries to act like she is God and she is supreme.
All right. Hello and greetings, the damned. Welcome to Pod Damn America, the podcast for grieving skeletons. Very sad morning. What I fucked it up again.
A sad morning indeed, Jake.
It's the middle of the night, which is morning to us.
Right.
Right.
You know?
When you emerge from your coffins.
Yeah. I fucked up the intro again. I fucked up the intro every single time we've ever done this. Raghav would have been so mad.
It's also now like if you don't fuck it up, it seems like you did it wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
it's
that.
a gag.
Double
Actually.
negative?
Welcome to Pod Damn America, the gothic socialist podcast for very sad werewolves. I'm Jake Flores. I have with me Anders Lee
Anders Lee here.
and Alex Patak.
Oh, woo.
And it is with a very heavy heart that we adjourned this podcast meeting, the official podcast or the official episode of Pod Damn America, in memory of our fallen comrade and co-host Raghav Mehta. If you've not heard the news, if you don't follow us online or whatever, or this is the first time you're hearing about it, tragically, our pal and co-host Raghav Mehta, who you've heard on the show, has passed. Happened about a week ago. We've been drinking a lot about it.
Yeah, don't say we didn't do anything. We immediately started drinking.
So there's, pretty much there's no reason not to have a big fucking Raghav podcast about it, I think. So we're gonna talk to a lot of his friends and people that are close to him, a lot of whom are stand-up comedians, as we are in a weird, tribe of
Coven
comedians.
Of comedians, yeah.
Yeah.
In a way, he's the most goth of all now.
He did the most goth thing of all and died.
Yeah.
So, he's
He's
really
king of the podcast. Watching over with like a red eye Instagram filter.
He also made our podcast quite a bit whiter by leaving us.
Yeah.
So, what do you call a group of very sad white men? The podcast. Lauren Duca, baby, king of comedy.
I'm crying.
Lady king of comedy, baby.
Lauren, join the show.
Yeah, just Phil
Open
Anders'
seat,
seat.
Lauren. For Anders. We're kicking off Anders.
Yeah, when I said Anders, Phil Raghav's seat. You can replace Anders too. It's fine.
Bye, Anders.
He's already plotting of, yeah.
We've been meaning to tell you you're canceled on the Duca Hour, the new name of our show.
Well, now there's one less beard, and maybe if you knock me off, there will be only one.
Right,
Yeah.
which is the problem people had with the show.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we'll be getting into all of our feelings in this very emotional socialist podcast.
Yeah. So we're probably going to talk about Raghav a lot and tell a lot of our favorite stories about Raghav, and probably make some bad jokes. That's the only way I know how to deal with any of this shit, is pretty much by trying not to, like, the entire time I was at his funeral, I was just like trying to not to knock shit over or blurt out really inappropriate shit, because my brain just like...
Yeah, that's good. You fought that urge. None of it would have gone well, like out in the world.
We'll play a little bit of Raghav's stand-up throughout the show. We'll probably swing into some right now. He had a bunch of great jokes and stuff online, and we'll also link to, some of his writing and stuff like that. He was in Vulture like a week before he passed.
Maybe less than a week.
Yeah, it was
5
like
days.
right up close to it, and it is obviously very tragic because the piece is great, and it's a snapshot of a guy kind of on his way up, He tells some great stories in the piece about how he changed his name to ACLU official on Twitter, which is a very awesome bit.
And then got in a fight with
Talib Kweli.
Talib Kweli.
Yeah, who thought he was fighting with the actual ACLU. Very funny stuff.
So many people thought Raghav was the ACLU.
The funniest thing that he there was kind of a bit he did was where he would change his name online. And I think the funniest instance of that to me, the ACLU is obviously a very funny one, but he went and did a comedy festival in Portland called Bridgetown. And if you went to Bridgetown a couple years ago, for some reason, everyone who was on Bridgetown got a blue check mark on Facebook, which isn't normally a thing. Like that's just like an experiment that didn't really pan out.
Yeah.
So he had a blue check mark on Facebook, and then he was applying for jobs, and he got tired of people like looking up his social media and him not getting jobs. So he changed his name to Bon Iver on Facebook. With the check mark
With the
still.
check mark. He was a real Bon Iver.
And his picture.
And then right after that, Bon Iver said something weird about like Bernie Sanders or something. So that you would just log on, there would just be people yelling at Bon Iver because they thought he was Bon Iver. Good bit, in my opinion, IMO.
The ACLU thing is one of the first things I found out when I met him, and that consistently made me laugh for over a year. Where you just forget your friend is the ACLU.
I'm an immigrant, like I mentioned. I picked a bad time to be that. But I'm an immigrant. I've lived here for like 27 years. I'm not a U.S. citizen because the system works, you guys. That's the theme of my and like, it's fucked up because I don't know what I'd do if I had to like go back. I'm already like the dumbest Indian in whatever city I'm in. I don't know what I'd do in India, like teach about Snapchat, how to pay rent late at the age of 29. But I'm reaching the final stages to attain citizenship, and I've been filling out some hilarious paperwork. And I brought some bit to share with you guys. Can I share it with you? I'm glad you said yes. It would be very weird if you said no, and just brought the show to a screeching halt. But anyway, so I filled out something to become a naturalized citizen, and naturalized is just a really fun word that makes me feel good about myself. And what I brought is the N400 form, which is something all naturalized citizens have to fill out. And I'm going to share some questions with you. So round of applause for the N400. Laugh, sing along, whatever you need to do. So, question one on the N400 form: have you ever claimed to be a U.S. citizen in writing or any other way? Which I'm glad they added any other way in case something's just like running down the street, screaming "I'm an American" for no reason or whatever. So, question two: have you ever been a member of Communist Party, B, any totalitarian government, or C, a terrorist organization? Which, yeah, that's crazy, but those are also three very different things. It's like if you went to a house party and like, yeah, are you a fan of sharing all the rules or chopping people's heads off? Are you a fan of sharing in the 70s? Fuck off. Between 1939 and 1945, were you in any way affiliated with the Nazi government? That seems irrelevant. Some 99-year-old Nazi applying for U.S. citizenship. Okay, more. Question four. Before coming to the U.S., were you ever involved with genocide? Which also the logic on that one I love. It's like, yeah, I was a big enough monster of chopped off hands in Rwanda 20 years ago, but I wouldn't want to lie on this legal form. I wouldn't want to be a bad person. I checked yes. Alright, so the last one, it's a have you ever, and it's a list of things, so fun, have you ever, on the citizenship application. So have you ever, A, been a prostitute? First of all, it's 2018, they're called sex workers. B, sold or smuggled controlled substances. C, been married to more than one person at the same time. Why is that relevant? D, married someone in order to obtain immigration benefits. If I had, I wouldn't be filling out this fucking form. E, helped anyone enter the U.S. illegally. I wouldn't tell you that either. F, gambled illegally. G, failed to pay alimony. And H, have you ever been a habitual drunkard? Which is also nothing like all those other things. And no one has used the term drunkard since the Civil War. All right, have a good night, guys. Bye.
Okay, Kate WIllett, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi,
Kate WIllett,
Kate.
comedian, more famous than us. You might have seen her on Netflix, and opening for Jawbreaker, which I'm quite jealous of. Hi. So I don't know how to really, really talk to you without, I guess, starting here. For anyone listening, the thing you should probably know about me and Kate is that Kate met Raghav via... Well, basically, I'm very annoying on the internet, and me and Kate got into a big Twitter fight. And that is the origin story of how you and Raghav sort of met and started hanging out. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, so Raghav reached out to me after that fight, and I thought he was trying to just be like, oh, yeah, like, by the way, like, we're so cool because we knew each other from around comedy, but turns out he was trying to hook up.
Yeah.
And I honestly respected that a lot. I respected that a lot, you know?
You have to respect ruthless people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if all of this like leftist infighting doesn't result in sex, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah, I was, I don't know, I've had a lot of internet fights over the years, and
Same.
that's the only one I ever got a boyfriend from, so, you know? Yeah.
I'm still on zero.
So you didn't know him at all before this? Or had you met?
I had met Raghav a couple times around comedy, and he was someone I thought was like super, super cool. I had reached out to him about potential ways of getting more involved with the ZSA, and I knew Raghav stayed up late, so I guess a couple of times I reached out to him about that. It was like at 4 a.m, and he took that as like me, you know, trying to start it up. And I wasn't thinking about that way. I was just like, oh, we're people who stay up late, but I totally understand why he took it that way.
You were reaching out to him as a goth person.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I was like, he's playing video games, and I was right. I'll tell you a couple stories about Raghav that I thought were really funny. About 3 weeks into our relationship, he was like, "Kate, I need to tell you something," and it was like very serious, like almost how someone is if they're gonna come out of the closet or something like that. And I was like, "What is it?" You know, I didn't know if it was like about an STI or what. But then he was like, "I want you to know that I game." Yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't even I play video games, it was just I game. And this was really important to me. Yeah.
There's no playing involved. It's who he is.
Yeah. And I think another thing about Raghav that your listeners will enjoy is yeah, I had to decide whether I wanted to say this or not, but it is funny. But Raghav secretly loved the musical Hamilton.
Somebody told me this.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I'm the only person that really knew about that. But yeah, he secretly loves it, and he felt that he needed to hide it from you.
Oh no!
That rules.
I have screenshots of him admitting that he loves specific songs. Yeah.
The stage rotates. I mean, there's a lot of aesthetic things to be impressed about.
Oh, now we have to write like a political
forgive
raps
you.
about
Yeah.
Raghav.
Or come up with a Hamilton video game with a Raghav character.
Oh, yeah. Tie it all together.
That's a lot of work.
At the end of this, somehow we emerge from this apartment with a video game about Hamilton that we about rapping that we made, and we're like, "This is for Raghav." Wait, what the fuck are we talking about?
Also, he and I, for the rest of our relationship, we did continue to have various debates about kind of the intersections between leftism and feminism. We went to Mexico together, and we had to make a gentleman's agreement to not bring up Bernie Sanders on the trip. We both brought up Bernie Sanders on the trip.
I think everyone does that.
Yeah,
Bernie Sanders is my safe word.
Well, the thing about it is the argument that Raghav would and I would have about Bernie Sanders is like I like Bernie Sanders a lot. It was like a difference between like, oh, I like him like super much and like I like him a lot. So we would have these like debates about it for a long time, and I was always like, yeah, I just wish that he kind of talked about gender issues like a little bit, more sensitively or whatever. And it was funny because when we would fight about this, I would remind him, I was like, Raghav, you literally decided to date me after he saw me arguing with someone about these topics on the internet. And we finally kind of like we finally ended up like sort of coming to an understanding about like our shared beliefs. In Mexico, we went and took some acid, and then I showed him the divine feminine and how deeply communist that is, and then we never argued about it again.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really great, and he was awesome, and I love him. And he did once tell me that if I ever was going to come on this podcast, I would have to apologize to you, Jake Flores, in a 600 character tweet thread and pledge my allegiance to the Chapo subreddit. That I would not, and I was right. So.
All right. Well, I expect that tweet thread anytime before this podcast comes out.
You can take or leave the Chapo subreddit part.
Yes.
That's so funny because, like,
don't look at our subreddit. When
he's hanging out with you, I guess he's arguing very like pro Bernie Sanders stuff, and when he's hanging out with us, he's like kind of arguing against us being so. Yeah. I think the thing I've been thinking about a lot in terms of Raghav is that he's just like me, him, and I feel like you, Kate, are probably similar people, and that like we're gonna argue with each other, but it's like it's coming from a place of really. Of like goodwill, because he wasn't so mad he was so mad at everyone because he wanted good things for them.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, he believed in a utopian society, I think, as you put it the other day when we were talking about this. It's like, yeah, that's gonna get fucking frustrating if you really believe in that sort of thing and you're really like fighting the fight or whatever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I always really like loved and admired that part of his character, and I to me that was like honestly one of my favorite things about our relationship. It's funny to joke around about it, but I really enjoy people with strong opinions, and I love Raghav's opinions. They're always super well thought through and very sensitive, and yes.
I'm just trying to imagine you two walking through Mexico trying not to be reminded of Bernie Sanders.
Just clenching your fists and trying not to say Bernie Sanders.
It's like you just see a bunch of feathers with some glasses underneath them. Like
just on acid talking to Quetzalcoatl and like trying to keep Go ahead.
Yeah. I talked to my therapist about it once, and I was like, my boyfriend and I have some political differences, and I was talking about it, and she's like, we were talking about it for like a half an hour, and I was like, she's like, is he like a Republican or something? And I was like, oh God, no, like, I like Bernie Sanders, and my boyfriend likes him more, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there are probably a lot of therapists that are going through similar shit right now. This is a very like modern kind of romance,
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a much worse version of the David Bowie song. Modern
Yes.
love. It's all
Yeah.
about Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you should know that I don't know how much of this podcast you've heard, but he definitely would listen to whatever you say and then fight with you about it and then come here and then repeat whatever your points were on the podcast to like forward your views down the line. So they've definitely, a bunch of them ended up on the show.
Yeah.
I think I kind of knew that, and I think it was really sweet. I mean, Raghav, when we would talk about kind of just, the intersections between feminism and economic justice and social justice, like he would just, we would argue a lot, but I could tell that he would listen to me, and I also really listened to him. Like, I think that my own politics are a lot different than they were when we started dating. I mean, I always have been very left, but I think that he did change my mind about a lot of things, and it was a really special part of getting to know him.
Yeah, I mean, he really did take politics very personally, and I had a few experiences with him where he'd be yelling on the table, and then like a few, like an hour later, we'd be able to he was also a deep listener, so we really wanted to understand your side at the same time as having these passionate convictions.
You just reminded me of something. Raghav, for anyone listening, by the way, he quit this podcast like every week. Like, I just stopped answering the texts after a
Like
while.
every 5 weeks. Dude, we got more messages about it he didn't send to you.
Oh,
He was like,
fucking
I
know.
can't tell Jake yet, but I have some serious issues.
But like,
And then he'd just be there again on Tuesday.
yeah.
So funny.
But he, like, to what I was talking about earlier, he's so argumentative because he, was passionate and he believed in stuff or whatever. And I'm so mad about this. There's a thing that I think we've talked about him where he loved to argue, and he's, an angry guy, but but that was not who he was on stage. His persona as a comedian was very cool and collected, and so every once in a while we'd go, you'd talk to Raghav and
And
you'd be
very obsessed with school shooters.
well, whom amongst us, but he fucking, but you'd always kind of, if you're friends with them, you'd sometimes go Raghav, why aren't you ever angry on stage? I want to see this side of you on stage. And for whatever reason, that's just not how he approached it. So, so you didn't really get it that often, but there was a fucking episode of this show that we lost that I fucked up the audio to, and I'll just never be able to find it. But there was this really organic moment one time when him and Anders were arguing about Julia Salazar or something, and I was watching him and I was like, oh, I got it fucking recorded.
Right.
Finally, I got a mad Raghav, which
He
is what I've always
snatched
fucking
Anders'
wanted.
wig.
He did. He spilled tea on him and threw shade all over Anders.
It was beautiful to watch.
And I think he was right, because now I'm fighting with Julia Salazar about my building and shit.
Yeah, it probably was. Yeah. We should have tried to capture all those off-mic moments of him yelling at me and put them
Just
into
on your phone, just slowly upload them onto the podcast.
Or no, send them to Hannah Gadsby. That'll be our next special.
The next special is called Raghav.
I have listened to this podcast many times. By many times, I mean maybe 4.
Hey, that's many.
That's more than I expected.
But for some reason, every single episode that I have listened to of this podcast has been about Hannah Gadsby. Only 4 times. It was I mean, you probably only talked about it 4 times, and those were just happened to be the episodes that I listened to. But I stopped listening to it because I like Hannah Gadsby, and I just didn't want to get in arguments about it. I just really like Hannah Gadsby.
Well,
She's the 6th Beatle of this show.
I was gonna say it probably came out more than 4 episodes.
Well, I gotta go meet a baby right now. My friend just had a new baby, and anyways, I love you guys. I'm glad that I finally got to come on your podcast, and I am very sad that it's under these circumstances, but I hope that you continue the good work, and I hope that you will each argue with me just from time to time.
We'll take turns. Well, we love you very much as well, and you're welcome back on the podcast anytime. You should absolutely come on, when we're all in the same town and stuff.
Oh, I will tell you when I want to come on your podcast. I'll tell you one more funny thing about Raghav.
Okay.
We were arguing a lot about sexism, and I thought that one thing that would be funny to do, because how stubborn Raghav could be, and I mean just really how passionate, but I thought that one thing that would be funny in our arguments is I wanted to be able to say I wrote the book on sexism. And so what I did was I went and I sold the book about sexism that I'm now writing.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
You literally will write the book on sexism.
So it is about, in a lot of ways, like a lot of the things that Raghav and I talked about. So yeah, when it is done, I will hit you guys up.
Yeah, I love that.
Where can our listeners like follow you and see you do stand up and stuff?
I am at Kate WIllett on Twitter with 2 L's and 2 T's.
Cool.
Guys, I love you. Yeah. This is great that you're doing this, and yeah, I really, the past 7 months have really changed my views about all male leftist podcasts. And, I'm glad you're doing it. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Kate. Go argue with that baby.
Yeah, go fight that baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna go argue with that baby about Bernie Sanders. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Kate. Love you.
Keep it going. What's up, Cox? How you doing? Oh, so good to be here. I turned 29 this year. Any 29-year-olds here? Depressing, smattering applause. Cool. Couple 29-year-olds. The rest of you just like cool teens or whatever, like vape and eat ass or whatever that is. I don't know what that is. It's just fun to say. I'm 29, but I am legally 30. And if that sounds confusing, it's because it is. What happened is I emigrated here when I was very young. I was a year old from India with my family. An immigration officer flubbed my paperwork, changed my birth year from 1989 to 1988, rendering me a year older on all my American documentation. And my parents didn't think it was that big of a deal. They just kind of left that right where it was, and then told me when I turned 23. That's fucked up, right? It's a bad thing to do. I think it was weird, but I've gotten over it. I think it's very cool now. I got to drive a year early. I got to drink a year early. I get to rub it into my stupid kids' faces when they grow up. You know, they're gonna be like, I'm 13. It's like, oh yeah? When I was your age, I was 14, so try to keep up. This is embarrassing. I am having a good year. Are you guys having a good 2018, huh? No? Maybe some of you are like, fuck 2018 people. I don't know. That's a thing. Like, fuck 2016, fuck 20. The news has gotten so consistently bad that people are just writing off entire calendar years, right? It's just, fuck 2018. That's a new thing. That's a new phenomenon, right? Like, you don't think during, like, the Black Plague in Europe, people were running around being like, hey, fuck 1347. Italy got wiped out. All 3 of our famous musicians died. Oh, you think it's sad David Bowie passed away? Try living in a world where the only song that exists is Ring Around the Rosie. That's all they got. It's not fun. I'm not Muslim. That's what I am. That's how I identify in 2018. Thank you. Not Muslim. Brown, not Muslim. Constantly get questions about Islam, and that's fine, right? But like being brown, not Muslim in America now, a lot like wearing a red shirt to Target. That's where I'm at. So I can only wear red shirts. Entire world is Target. That's how that works. But I get it. I know what I look like. I don't get offended. I know like the assumptions people. I look like any of your brown friends if they like owned a skateboard and voted for Harambe or whatever. Like, I used to think I knew what I looked like, and a coworker of mine recently told me my face reminds her of Scar from The Lion King. That will fuck up your day, right? Everything you believe in just unravels before you. I was like, what? And she's like, I don't know, it's just your skin color and your black beard. I'm like, oh, thanks. for putting it delicately. Thanks for that, Lisa. We're going to talk to HR later. She told me I look like Scar from The Lion King, which is surprising for 2 reasons. 1, I don't look like Scar from The Lion King. And 2, I never thought I would miss being called Aladdin. I never thought I would get nostalgic for that. All right, I'm gonna get out of here in a second. I'm a pretty left-leaning guy, pretty liberal guy. No brave thing to say in Madison, but I think guns should be illegal. But I think if you're a dude and you want a gun, the government should be allowed to interview at least like 3 of your ex-girlfriends. That just makes sense. I'm not trying to panic. That's just where you get the pertinent information. You like call up Greg and you're like, Greg, it's the government responding to your application. We talked to Amanda. Amanda said you once punched a wall because you were so amped after an Imagine Dragons concert? Yeah, fuck off, Greg. You're not getting a gun. All right, have a good night, guys. Bye.
Raghav Mehta!
All right. Now we are joined by comedian David Tveite, and I fucking just forgot your name. You told me, Anthony Carter. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, comedian Anthony Carter. Jesus Christ, dude, it's not that hard.
You didn't go to comedian school for 8 years for you to call Mr. Anthony Carter.
Dr. Your Honor Anthony Carter. Welcome to the show. Calling in from Minneapolis.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Minneapolis.
How are we doing? We're off and running, aren't we?
Do people say that?
This is great.
Minneapolis?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yep.
I just did like a New Orleans, like one of those.
Mini.
Anyways, welcome to the show. We're just
Thanks
basically
for
telling
having me.
stories about Raghav and stuff. Am I to understand you guys played music together?
Yeah, we were in a band all together. We had many names. One of them, David remembers this.
Yeah, we were
probably.
52 weeks, but weeks was
Yeah.
spelled like the opposite of strong.
That makes
we,
you think.
Great name.
we,
That was a good name.
We played our school variety show as well. So listen, Anthony is a African American gentleman, and Raghav
This is true.
is a big dumb brown guy. That's what he is. And
The dumbest.
and I'm regular. So we played the high school variety show as the Diversitones in junior year. And it was truly disastrous. We played "Belt" by Say Anything, which I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if you're familiar. It is a pretty difficult song. It was a pretty ambitious project. Like, I remember playing it for my drum teacher, and he's like, "Oh fuck, this is like pop punk Dream Theater or something." But so we just like fumbled our way through that shit. Raghav was singing; he couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. I mean, he was just like
No.
the worst
So bad.
singer.
I don't think I've ever seen him like at karaoke or anything.
Yeah, he doesn't do that shit.
Yeah, he avoids it.
Did he-
That's,
He never even sang
that's something he
casually.
learned.
Yeah, he. Well, someone. Last night we were with like a bunch of people we went to high school together with, and someone was telling us that our friend Jenna, I think, was telling us that he sent her like CDs of like original songs that he wrote and recorded, and she still like has that shit.
Oh my god!
no.
Give her the fucking our contact info.
Yeah, for sure. Raghav would be fucking mortified.
That's a good way to get haunted, I think.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I mean, well, when we were we had dinner with his sister like a week ago, and she was like, she was telling us that she was like going through all like his old joke notebooks and like reading his old jokes. And I'm like, listen, you grieve any way you have to, but that is fucking mortifying. That is so disrespectful. But yeah, so we played that show, and it went pretty badly. And then afterwards, we like tried to like sort of delicately be like, "Hey man, what if Anthony sings on stuff from here on out, and he got furious, and he took his ball and went home, and the band went on without him. We went through a couple different names after that. Jerry Bruckheimer's Private Hell was one of them. Where like our original stuff, we didn't like all of it was instrumental, but it was all named after like lines from Jerry Bruckheimer movies. So we had a song called Welcome to the Rock. We had a song called Put the Bunny Back in the Box.
What's that one from?
Con Air.
Con Air.
Oh yeah.
When he fucking kills the guy in the belly of the plane, and he goes, "Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?"
That iconic scene.
I've seen that movie like 400 fucking times, but
Yes.
but yeah, so yeah, we played music together. We Anthony skateboarded with him, right?
Yeah, we tried skateboarding, man. And I'm not sure if you guys have ever done it, but it's very difficult.
Skateboarding?
Yeah, skateboarding. It's mortifying. It's crazy. Like you're hurtling, down the sidewalk. You get hit by a car. You're not wearing a helmet because you're trying to be cool. There's like a bunch of different things. But yeah, he was pretty good at skateboarding. I was terrible at it, but I love the fashion, so I stayed for that.
Yeah, that was a big thing in high school, dude. I was like,
DC shoes.
I'm still wearing a helmet.
I was like, am I allowed to wear like an Element T-shirt? And
no,
because I was just like, I don't skate or anything. I just like that Flame Boy logo. I think it's cool.
I think it was World Industries.
Oh shit, you're right. Yeah.
I was gonna say Spitfire. I'm pretty sure it's
whatever,
Spitfire.
man.
Is
It's
that what
all
you're
the
talking
same
about?
shit.
Yeah.
Whatever they sold at Zoomies.
It is.
I think it was the Offspring.
Some teenager listening to this is just getting furious.
I assume that's most of who your audience is.
I don't know who the fuck listens to this. They're weird people. They're up in my DMs and they're very scary. So imagine probably teenagers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be them.
Tell me more of high school Raghav. Was he king of the prom? Was he the lacrosse captain? Was he debate queen?
He was debate queen. That's the one he was.
He's a messy bitch who loves debates. No, I mean, he was just like, he was actually like, by senior year, he was like a pretty popular dude. He was like friends with a lot of the cool kids by the end of high school. But I mean, he was a pretty fucking angry guy for a while. It's just like, also, I don't know if you guys remember this. Oh, fuck, I'm blanking. I was supposed to not forget this. Oh, yeah, 9/11 happened during 8th grade.
Is that the one with the Pentagon? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I think that rings a bell anyway.
That's why we put 2 candles out for Raghav. It's his favorite holiday.
These do look like the Twin Towers.
But
listeners note, they look like candles and not the Twin Towers.
I don't know. One of them's burning kind of lower than the other one. It kind of tracks.
Yep, that's the one.
But so like Raghav fucking loved telling this story, but we were in class together when 9/11 happened, our social studies teacher, he went by Teacher Anderson, and he was like legitimately a very cool.
Was he a Quaker? Why would
I don't know, man.
Teacher Anderson?
Yeah, I have no idea. He just didn't like being a mister, I suppose. But he was genuinely like he's like one of those teachers that you have who treats you like a fucking adult, you know?
After The Matrix came out, I bet a bunch of kids would make fun of him and go like, Mr. Anderson at him.
No, that was probably it, man.
It's Teacher Anderson.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I've never thought about that before.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So he was like one of those cool ass teachers who treats you like you're a fucking adult, you know, who treats you as though you can like understand difficult concepts and stuff like that. And the day, I forget the exact date, but the day that 9/11 happened, we were in his class, and he went through, and he was like talking about like what he was trying to explain what was going on, and he was like dead on so many things. He's like they're gonna blame this on like Iraq or one of these countries, and we're probably gonna go to war, and all this shit is gonna happen. It was like incredibly prescient. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's the way.
But when he's talking about it, he's just like trying to express the gravity of the situation, and he's like, "Yeah, this is a huge deal. Like, thousands of people work in these buildings." And I said, "Not anymore." And and Raghav was the only one who laughed. That was about when we were starting to become friends, because it was just like I was a mess. I was a real angry kid in 8th grade, because y'all don't know what it's like growing up male, middle class, and white. And
Ben Folds.
Yeah. I don't know where I got that pull from, but but so like I don't know. We just sort of bonded over System of a Down and just like hating our fucking lives and stuff.
Truly toxic males.
The toxicity.
That was the name of the record, yeah.
That's what it was about. It was about being a 15-year-old male. My mom one time.
Toxicity of a Tveite.
My mom got really mad because she found a System of a Down cassette tape in my room one time. I was like a teenager,
and she's like, "Don't you know that
this shit?"
She's just like, "Don't you know CDs exist now? What are you fucking doing with this?"
It must have been that.
Yeah.
She must have been a tech bro or something.
I found a Betamax under your bed.
She showed me the Texas Chainsaw Massacre when I was 5.
Jesus
but
Christ!
System of a Down,
What?
too far. Yeah,
Too far.
That's insane.
yeah, I don't know.
It's their Middle Eastern roots. They can't be trusted.
But yeah, so we bonded over some truly terrible music. I mean, he
was the king of terrible bands.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
in high
God.
school,
I mean, me and Anthony and our friend Turner Barrowman put together the playlist for his wake together, and I've been listening to a bunch this week because I'm just a fucking glutton for punishment. And one of the tracks on there was Jukebox Breakdown by Saves the Day, and holy shit, what a truly awful song. Like that.
So bad.
It's so bad.
Oh man.
But yeah, we went and saw Green Day and Blink-182 on the Pop Disaster tour. That was my first rock and roll concert.
We saw that show from the nosebleed section. We
Yeah.
were like, we must have bought our tickets like the day before or something. Like we couldn't really see them.
I mean, we also just like we were children and we didn't have any fucking money, so
that too. Yeah, like it was like $20. Took us all month to save for it.
I remember Raghav really had a hankering for U2's album Joshua Tree for some reason.
He tried to get me into that one a few times.
It was just
Yeah,
that
that
album.
did not
I
tick.
fucking hate Bono so much. I just can't get over it. I've been talking to a few people about this week. I've just been listening to the most recent album by Fucked Up a lot because it's like one of the few that I don't like have any super strong associations with Raghav. Like, because that's the other thing. I don't know where the fuck I'm going to get new music from now. Like,
yes.
anytime that I I was like sick of the shit that I'd been listening to, I would like hit him up and he'd just like send me a list of shit, and he was almost always right. I mean, like there's some stuff like I'm not like a big hip hop guy, but like most of the stuff that he sent me was like, oh yeah, this is fucking dynamite. He got me into like so many of my favorite bands. I mean, Titus Andronicus, Tom Waits. Like there's just like so much shit that like
the night before I got pinched by fucking Homeland Security. The reason I was so hungover is because me and Raghav went and watched Turnstile.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Yeah,
that hardcore band, and like it was fucking great. It was weird. I remember because like me and him have like as is gonna just be a constant theme in any of me talking about him. Like we would just butt heads a lot and shit, and have like these weird fucking friend breakups and stuff. And so we would always go on like these man dates to sort of like be like we're fucking cool again.
He told me he was about to quit the podcast like once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, like fucking constantly. But we went to that Turnstile show and like, you know, fucking broke up a fight in the pit and all this shit.
Nice.
It was fun. We got real aggro.
Nice.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
There was
I'm a big dumb brown guy breaking up this fight.
But other than like talking about bands like Turnstile and shit with him, I feel like me and him, the main thing we had in common musically was Raghav had a love of like woman rock. Like I'm serious, and it's shit that I get
like the term.
Like
his words. It's not Jake's fault.
Like woman.
He did spell it with a Y though. So.
He was really into like Mitski and St. Vincent and shit.
Jesus Christ! I'd never heard Mitski. He talked about All Fall, and I tried to listen to it last week. The worst time to listen to the saddest music possible.
Yeah, dude.
Unlistenable.
That was one thing. Like when we were putting together the playlist, like it's just the most Raghav shit that we had to be like, we had to nix a couple of songs because we're like, this is too depressing for a funeral. Like, but yeah, he loved fucking Fiona Apple.
Hell yeah, Fiona Apple kicks ass.
I went to an Angel Olsen show with Raghav. I had bought the tickets like a few months in advance because they had just come out, and I like had just gotten out of a thing, and I was like, in 6 months I'm gonna have a date to bring to this Angel Olsen show, and of course I didn't at that point. And I was talking to Raghav.
You got to give yourself at least 9, man.
And he was like really broke at this point, and so I was like, yeah, and he was like, I really want, because he loved Angel Olsen, and I was like, yeah, just buy me a drink or something, whatever. And he like made sure to like get this, because he couldn't really afford even that. So, but before the show, he made sure to like smoke me out and also get this like tiny bottle of gin that we like snuck in and shit. Yeah, it was a great time.
Anders, you know I love woman rock. I'll do anything to get inside.
I've heard this. Like your friend dies, and so you just start seeing things that remind you of them everywhere and hearing shit. It's like obviously, that's the way this is working, and I'm sure I would have just not noticed before. But I swear to God, I've been in like 5 bars where Wuthering Heights by Kate Bush has been playing this week, and I'm like,
what the hell?
This is like, what is happening? It's the same fucking song.
Yeah. I feel the same way, dude. Like I've also just seen people that look like him.
Yeah.
Which I never used to see before.
Yeah.
You know, like he's a pretty unique looking sad brown dude. But like I was about to board the airplane, and there was like this dude wearing a leather jacket. And I guess he was white, but like he looked just like Raghav. I almost went up to him, and just to like see what was up.
Yeah, dude. It's just like I just keep. It's just fucking like they're just. Like after the wake, we went to Old Stanley's, a bar in Ridgewood, and we were just hanging out there. And I kept like every time I turned around, I thought I was going to see him. I would be in the middle of telling a story, and I'm like, oh, I need Raghav to help me tell this. Oh yeah, fuck, that's right. So the other thing that we did together in high school is we were on the school like closed circuit news program. It was called our mascot was the Jefferson Jaguars, and so. The news program was called Jaguar Spots. And then when we were like juniors, there were some seniors who started doing like a parody show called Jaguar Stripes. And we picked that up when we were seniors. And so we did a bunch of dumb shit. Like for the variety show, they always had like an opening video package that was like a parody of a movie. And like in the past couple years, they'd done like Tommy Boy and something else, and we did it, and we did Saw. We just filmed it in the basement bathroom at my parents' house. So he was involved in that. There's one part I just remember where like one of the guys is this dude Nate, and it was Nate and Matt Ritterspot, right?
Yeah, they were the hosts.
They were the hosts of the show. So yeah.
But yeah.
So they starred in this thing. There was one part where I think this was a Raghav touch where they were like they found like a cell phone in the toilet tank, and they were like calling people to try and get help, and they just like they're like they'd call and people would be doing dumb shit, and one of them was just a bunch of people standing in a field going like wearing shoes on their hands going, hey guys, our shoes are hands, yay. And they're just like, oh, they must be busy. Yeah, the busiest of them all. But
But yeah, I don't know, we had a bunch of dumb bits like that. We did, like Raghav and I co-hosted that show together one episode, and we kept doing this fucking dumbass bit where Raghav would say something, and I would be like, "Oh, I haven't been able to think about that since the accident," and there was like no payoff or anything. We were just doing dumb shit. I mean, like most of like Jaguar Spots was basically just like we had a block schedule and we had like an hour and a half where we were just allowed to leave campus to do like reporting and stuff. So we would just get high and drive around listening to Atmosphere.
Oh, totally.
And our friend Joe's, he had a Caprice station wagon that we spent a lot of time in. But
well, I feel like we're talking about young Raghav, which is a person that I don't know. Never met. I met him a few years ago through stand-up or whatever. But this is a fascinating picture of who this fucking guy was that I knew.
He also like in college that was the only part of like I knew the dude for more than 20 years, and like the 4 years that we were in college was really the only part that we weren't together for, like because then after college I started doing stand-up and then he started doing stand-up, but
which we thought you hated, David.
Oh, I did at first. I was like so fucking mad. I was like, this is my thing, dude. But I mean, I got over it, but
David has the same reaction whenever anyone starts standing.
Just come on, another one. But he like I mean people have there have been like a lot of posts eulogizing him and stuff, and everyone talks about like how smart and sharp he was, and he was that, but he was also like the biggest dumbass in like a lot of very basic ways. Like he was the least efficient person I ever knew. I mean, like he like when I think he like fucked up his college applications, because I don't know why else he would have ended up going to the University of North Dakota for freshman year. And believe it or not, it was not like that great to be like the only brown guy in Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Yeah.
So he got busted with I think he got kicked out. I don't know. Like he got kicked out of the dorms anyway. Like they found a grinder in his room, and he got a paraphernalia charge and stuff. But he was just like constantly getting harassed by like RAs and like the local police and shit like that. And then he ended up going to University of Minnesota afterwards, and that was where he like studied journalism. And man, he was fucking good at it too. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was always very jealous of how. Like I mean, he's a great writer, and he's just like a smart dude. He was able to, I don't know, he just like put stories together in a way where it was like easy to follow, and I don't know, he just did the coolest shit as a journalist too. Like he met like Buzz Aldrin and like
right.
Oh shit!
That was when Pokemon Go was going on, and he posted a picture that was like it's like some weird red carpet thing that he was reporting on. But he posted a picture that was like, "Here's a Machamp next to Jay Leno."
That rules. Yeah, I always think about him in his sort of like his almost was like journalism career. It's really interesting to me because like I mean a lot of people I know, especially that do like comedy and things like podcasting and stuff like that, kind of have that same background because for a lot of reasons, like journalism is becoming harder and harder to make a living off of, and then also there are various reasons that people have gotten in or out of it, and he definitely seemed like he had a mind for it. I know he was a big like Tveite fan and stuff like that. I was trying to find a Tveite book to put in front of my little Raghav shrine I was putting on the table out here with these 2 candles, but I don't know where I put it.
This is a shrine?
It was
just 2 candles.
It was a very half-assed, last-minute
2 candles and recording equipment.
What did Raghav like?
Dude,
he liked pens. All right, I'll put a pen in front of it.
I loved recording.
I read the book The Great Derangement by Matt Taibbi because he recommended it to me like just like 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And I put it on my Goodreads page, and Raghav followed me on Goodreads like less than a year ago. And he was like, "You only gave this 3 stars?" And I was like, "Why the fuck are you digging through my old Goodreads?" But yeah, I mean, if there's one thing that I would recommend to anyone who's like curious about like the work that he was doing, he wrote this fucking incredible piece with a couple of other reporters on the rapper Idea after he passed away.
Oh, cool.
And I think that was for Anthony. That was for the Minnesota Daily, right?
Yeah, it was for the Daily.
Yeah, it's like it's called like Idea, like a tragedy in 5 acts or something like that. But it's an incredible piece of writing.
Cool. I'll find it and I'll link it in the show notes and stuff. Yeah, I don't know, man. He's like had this. He has a mind that is like a lot of things about him and things that are sort of at odds with each other and like, contradictory even within himself come through in his writing and also like his jokes. I've been thinking about his material a lot because like, I mean, we're friends. We just see each other do stand up, know. But like, I hadn't really ever like Googled, Raghav's stand up before. Or whatever. So I saw some stuff that I hadn't seen him perform before. And one thing happened is that I found out that, and I'm pretty sure he probably knew about this and was mad about it. Otherwise, he probably would have told us, I think. But there's another guy named Raghav Mehta who's just like on Indian TV.
Yeah, he's like a pop star in India or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe that's not Raghav Mehta, but like I remember like when we were in high school, we like went to Raghav.com and it was like this Indian pop star's webpage.
God, that sucks. But also his material is great, and it's like he's got this joke that I think is probably like one of his most quotable Raghav jokes or whatever, which is about the time traveler, and he's talking about, if I went back in time to try to kill Hitler, because everyone was talking about, would you go back in time to try to kill Hitler as a baby or whatever, on the internet that week when I guess he wrote this, he was like, if I tried to go back in time, people would be like, where are you from? And he'd be like, I'm from the future, and they'd go, no, where are you really from?
Yeah,
right? And that's like
he had a really good one where he just read the immigration form.
I'm gonna put that in the show.
I mean, that's my that's definitely my favorite of his, and I really thought I was gonna see him do that on like a late night show at some point.
Yeah, it's really good. I watched it earlier while I was kind of putting together some stuff to splice into this this episode or whatever. But I just noticed like when I was like listening to that and the time traveler thing, it's like even in his jokes you can kind of pick apart like these various themes, which are that he wants to make the world a better place. He's annoyed by people fucking it up, He's ultimately kind of depressed about it, and it's also really funny, like all in the same concise fucking bits or whatever. So it's really interesting. Because he would get his point of view through in certain ways. And, and like I was talking about earlier with Kate, he was not angry on stage, but he was angry, in service of this more ultimate thing, which is like his presence on stage as like this cool collected person that's putting his thoughts forward in a more composed fashion. I don't know, man. It's fucking tragic. He's a young guy, and so you look at all this stuff and you go, wow, we're not going to get what probably could have been some really interesting stuff, especially since he was on the come up and stuff. He probably could have gotten back into journalism and written some
stuff
really
he would have
great
written.
shit.
Yeah, prose stuff. I was looking at his books when he died, and he was a voracious reader, and he really maybe would have done something amazing with prose.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think we should probably get moving on into the next part of this podcast. But Anthony, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me. It was
Love
cool
you,
to talk
buddy.
to you.
Nice meeting
Love
you,
you too,
man.
Okay. So that does it for the remote part of this. The phone calls. Now it's just a big round table. The rest of us are all still here. David Tveite is still here. And also joining us is David Sitrick and Geoff Asmus.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. All comedians, all pals of Raghav.
The lines are closed.
Yeah, there's like a big fucking thermometer thing of money we're trying to raise for Raghav, and it's not very high. We called 2 people. They're Raghav's friends, so they don't have any money. So I figured now we just, kind of tell stories about Raghav and stuff.
Well, I was thinking about this, like listening to you guys talking earlier, because you were talking about how you never saw Raghav mad on stage. And it just got me thinking about like when I first met him and how like the first time I ever like remember knowing who Raghav was, he was storming out of an open mic. He'd had like, but he was also like watching him on stage. He was like, at the time he was almost like more Seinfeldian observational in what he was doing at the time. Like he was doing jokes about the Comcast customer service line and stuff. And it was just like, but he was like really, I think some like shithead Minnesota road dog had told him that he came off too angry on stage or something like that. So he was like really restrained and like really like.
He was doing Kramer material.
Kind of, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
No, I mean, not that material.
When he first started, he was straight up doing Anthony Jeselnik's delivery. It didn't last long, but it was like the first 6 months. It was,
But it was like, but we were at this like dog shit open mic, and he and our friend Turner had showed up late, and they were at the end of the list, and they didn't know who I was at the time anyway at all. So I was just like watching this shit. But like Raghav went up like almost last, and you could see him just getting like madder and madder and madder as like people started to leave, and the audience got worse. And he went on stage. And he was like still very calm, like even calmer than you ever saw him like recent, like here, like you would have seen him. But you could just watch in his eyes like the rage start to bubble and boil over as he was like having the bad set that we're afraid he was gonna have. And it was just so weird, like say like. In my mind, like the Raghav we all know now is very much like, oh, he got in touch with his anger, and it's like starting to be so. Yeah. But he just like he got off stage, and he like without stopping or saying a word to anyone walked off stage, and then just immediately in one unbroken stride left the bar. And that was the first time I ever saw that guy. He terrified me.
Oh, that rules.
Do you remember any of his other observational materials besides Comcast Helpline?
I can't. Do you have anything that you can remember?
I know. Yeah. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just remember that he had a joke that was like, so sometimes I like to call the Comcast customer service helpline and tell them about my problems just so they can feel like they help somebody for once in their goddamn lives.
Oh yeah, I do remember that one.
That's the only one I can remember.
Did he tell like Jeselnik dark one?
No, not really. I mean, he was
he just throw rape at the end of the.
Yeah, grab the mic.
They do Seinfeld material in the Jeselnik voice.
I mean, I think he was definitely more one-linery, but he wasn't like it wasn't like the same sort of shit. I'm just like I can't even do it. Like I don't know how to do an impression of it, but that is what he was doing at first, and it was so fucking funny to me.
At least like my memory of it is like he is trying very hard to project someone who's having a good time despite being clearly full of rage.
Wow, yep. Kind of said it. One time a year ago, me and Raghav went to Mini-App, as they call it in Minneapolis.
Jesus fucking Christ, man. Most of us are too polite to say anything, but what the fuck are you talking about?
Yep. That's the inherent flaw in your ways. You'll have to deal with a completely oblivious, drunk, blustering Southerner at some point in your life who has no idea. So yeah, we went and played the Comedy Quarter Underground, and we stopped in Eau Claire on the way there. And the guy who booked this show in Eau Claire didn't realize he double booked us with the worst possible thing. A, the worst possible thing you could double book us with, and B, like specifically for I think Raghav's anxieties about being like labeled a brocialist, etc. The worst possible scenario, which is that the show that was happening was like a women's entrepreneurship like seminar comedy show thing, and the booker said that he was like, I'll give you your guarantee, but you have to do spots on this show, and that's like fine. But then on top of that, he was like, well, because it's like there's a time crunch and there's a certain amount of space and they want their show to be its own cohesive things, you guys are going up first. So like this woman came out on stage. She was like, thank you for coming to this women's empowerment comedy show thing about women getting jobs in the sciences or whatever. But first, Raghav Mehta and Jake Flores.
And if I remember correctly, like she didn't even do time up front, right? So it was just, you guys just went up cold.
Yeah. She just got everyone excited for the thing that they were there for, which was very much not us. Very woman-oriented.
Here's Raghav reading the immigration form. Welcome to the show.
It's like we're these bearded fucking brochurists or whatever, you know?
I just met that dude last night, the booker there, Colin Ryan, good guy. He told me that story yesterday. That's so fucking funny.
Oh man, I mean I had fun with it. I think I pretty much like told Raghav like the only way to go about this set is think like a wrestler, kind of like go up and be the heel for a minute, and then that's the joke, you know. And so I think they were kind of cool about it. Like they kind of reacted a little bit to just like addressing the elephant in the room.
You guys both had good sets. Like it went well.
It should very well could not have though. Yeah. It was like not the type of thing I wanted to have thrown in front of me like minutes before going on stage, you know. Yeah. But that shit was hilarious.
You inspired 80 women to get into tech that night. Your sets alone.
Yeah. By challenging them by being horrible. It's to motivate them.
Yeah, we have to come up with a machine that will replace these people.
We have the greatest resource in the world, and it is ingenuity. I'm trying to do Beto. I don't know, like
the arm movements.
Get
have
off
it down.
The table.
The listeners can't see, but yeah.
I'm actually pissed about that because
Stop
I've been
climbing
on furniture for stand-up for a while, and he stole my bit.
I used to do that shit too, and it's fucking bothering me.
Yeah.
Although I figured out something recently. He's Bran from Game of Thrones. He's gonna get pushed out of a tower because he won't stop climbing, and that'll be his ultimate downfall.
I saw someone on Twitter this afternoon be like, "But Beto knows he's taller than most people, right?"
I am one of the
Raghav hated Beto. All right, hold on. This just occurred to me. It's the first thing that occurred to me as soon as I heard that Raghav passed. I hate to say this, but it's fucked up, and now I think the scab's sort of healing a little bit. Raghav passed away the day Beto announced his...
Yeah.
And like...
Oof. Kate actually made that joke when we were all sitting there. She was like, I blame Beto.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very serious day. In the back of my head the entire day I was like, Beto, you bastard.
I've just felt like it was so heartening. Earlier today, I got lunch with my mom, and I'm just like, I'm gonna fuck it. Like I usually like I don't really curse in front of her in general, but I was just like, I'm a fucking open wound, and I was just like shooting from the hip the whole time. And at some point, I don't know how we got on the subject of politics, but I was like, Mom, could you do me a favor and not vote for Beto O'Rourke? And she goes, and she made a face, and she goes, I don't know what he stands for. And this is coming from like a 60-year-old NPR liberal who loves the show The Newsroom. So, like, I mean, that gives me hope anyway.
Yeah. He's probably losing the mom vote by standing on all those tables.
That's true. Get off the table.
Everyone has to clean them.
Also from being a shitty dad.
Right.
That's another
That's
story,
true.
but
Yeah.
Also, Beto, stop gesticulating. You're going to put an eye out.
Really, with those big, lanky, long fingers just wagging everywhere. Anyway.
His last tweet was not about Beto O'Rourke. It was about Penis CK.
Oh, yeah, we had to talk about
King
this. Yeah.
goes out on top.
That is so fucking funny.
It was, I mean, we were, like, Sitrick and I were at the bar with him. Like, we were hanging out with him last Tuesday, and he was like, is this funny enough to tweet? And we were like, yeah, dude, go for it.
He'd been hanging on to that shit for like a month. We were
Been
just
in
sitting
the
there going,
incubator.
he was like, is it time? Can I do it yet? Is it time?
Well, and then, so he posted it, and on Facebook, he posted a comment right after it that was like, no offense. And we were like, you should probably delete that
like,
part. That makes it...
It's so much worse.
You're really undercutting yourself here.
Well, it's a great tweet because it really toes the line. You can't really tell which side he's on of the controversy.
And you gotta, I mean, if you're Kelsey, that's gotta fuck you up a little bit.
Yeah.
We were
I'm not sure. I think she might be impervious at this point.
We were joking about, like, people eulogizing him on Facebook and being like, Raghav was a great guy, hilarious comic, and he fucking hated penis.
Oh man, yeah. I just like I can't remember who was the first one to share the. I think it was Jeremy Hammond who shared the Reductress article. That was like short guy has a big dick. The header photo was of Raghav.
He loved that.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when that article came out, he posted a tweet that was just like, "Oh, the Reductress is just doing regular journalism now."
I think we were messaging on Facebook about it. He was like, "This is going to be great for me."
Yeah. He also hated Facebook, which is so funny.
He was on it all day.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, yeah, you hate it because you're fucking on it all day, you know?
Well, I'm sure Kate brought this up because it's one of the things that we've been talking about a lot in the past week, but like how he was always talking about how he was in trouble at work for being on Facebook too much. And then like after he died, I've just been talking to all these people and he was in like 17 different group chats, and it's like, no fucking wonder, dude, you were talking to like 50 people every day.
Yeah,
we've had to like scramble and throw together some new group chats in the last week. Like,
it's been the most beautiful thing is watching the slow reforming and realigning of group chats around the New York comedy scene.
Like,
he's the little finger of shit talking.
Oh yeah, for
talking
sure.
to everyone.
If you're in the New York comedy scene, we know so many of your fucking secrets because he was like a fucking inveterate gossip, and he never forgot anything either.
Scoops. Journalism.
I've never had someone tell me so many secrets I do not care about preceded by a promise that I would not share.
He did this thing. My friend Justin Colucci, who's a comic from Minneapolis, he lives in North Carolina now, but like we had this joke about Raghav that he would before he told you something, he's like, "Hey, have I told you this yet?" Because he's told so many people already that he couldn't remember whether he had or not.
Even like the last conversation I had with him, at one point, he just got real mad and just started blow in a way that he had never done before. He just started blowing up secrets about that no one should know at all. Just like literally a page and a half of just information about people that I didn't know, that I didn't care about.
The other
My
thing.
little birds, go birds.
It was like, why are you burdening me with this information? I don't want to.
The other thing, and I have to get to this because I made fun of him for this so much, and he would get so mad. But like, if like in like our early 20s, like when he started getting like, I mean, he was a good-looking guy. He did pretty well. But like when he started getting laid a bunch, he would tell me about it, but always in like this way where it was like, dude, the craziest thing happened. I'm like, all right. And he's like, I had sex with a lady. I'm like, is that it? And he's like, well, okay, so we like went on a date and we went back to her place and we fucked. And it's like, yeah, that's like the order that happens in.
Oh man.
That's a blessing though to be that surprised every time.
There was a point.
One of his other last tweets. Happy to be here. Me during sex.
Yeah, that was a goodie too.
I don't know if this is. I feel like this is okay to share, but he had like there was a point where he was. He had just gone through a breakup, and he was like, there was a show in Minneapolis that he like that our friends ran that he would go to. He was like. Had about 9 weeks in a row where he was just bringing a different girl every time to the point where I started calling him Dr. Pusshound, and nothing has ever made him angrier in the entire time.
Dr. Pusshound. That's why he's the debate queen.
You think he's a doctor because he's Indian, David? Wow.
You're right. I'm canceled.
Okay, so that reminds me. Jake posted this fucking he posted this photo on Facebook earlier this week. You know
yeah. I went through Raghav's Facebook photos, and somewhere way back, long before we knew each other, there's just a photo of him drunk wearing a sombrero. So I shared it because I thought, well, this is funny. I can make a post. It's like, hey, Raghav's canceled. Everyone can stop breathing. He's with the canceled Angels now.
and I thought that was just terrific. I thought that was very funny. So I shared it on my page, not thinking about the fact that Raghav's mom had friended me like the day before, and then Raghav's mom shared Jake's post. That was like, we found this picture, Raghav's canceled now. And I sent Jake a message. I was like, oh my God, dude, his mom just shared this. And Jake was like, oh no. And we were just like, well, there's literally no way she understands what this joke is.
No mother should have to cancel her son.
But like all of her Facebook friends are just like family members of theirs from India. So there's like, so Jake was like, should we like explain this to her? I was like, no, let's just let her have this nice photo of her son, where again he's clearly wasted in the picture. But then it was so funny to me picturing Jake like the levels to it, like Jake explaining to her what canceled means, then explaining that he's doing it ironically, and then explaining what ironic means, and then explaining why he's being ironic about her dead son.
I thought the exact same thing through, and I think we both kind of were like, let's just never tell her.
What if she's just into deep irony? She's just this entire time.
Yeah, she's on weird Twitter. Yeah. She's actually Krang T. Nelson.
Yeah. It's been on the show. I can confirm. That was Raghav's mom.
This is meta. No, that actually reminds me though of like what are the other fun things? What are the joys of this week? Because someone was talking about how we got into a thing where a bunch of us started sharing out of context Raghav messages that we started getting, and my favorite one was someone was talking about how one day Raghav messaged him and just said, "I'd fuck Tommy Lahren."
Oh no!
Oh man,
that's way worse.
Sorry,
than the
pal,
Hamilton
you're
thing.
double canceled.
Yeah, let's call his mom.
He had a. I feel like this is somewhat related to something we were talking about earlier. But at the beginning of the paid protest shows, when Raghav joined, before that we weren't like doing slideshows, but he wanted to make it more political, so we started doing slideshows. But the kind of humor we like is maybe like yeah, it was dumb, or like we'll do like, here's a slideshow honoring Stalin to start the Housing Working Group Foundation. We found out the audience of activists that comes to the fundraiser comedy shows fucking hates that kind of comedy, and they would show up and just kind of scowl at us. And so around 4 to 6 months in, Raghav came up with this formula that we've been doing ever since, which is since you're doing a comedy show for people who don't go to comedy shows, you have to explain to them that they're allowed to laugh. And so he'd build in a different joke at the beginning of every show where we'd explain the rules of comedy to socialists, and it was like, number 1, follow the rules. Number 2, do not write a blog post during the show. Laugh at the comedy show. And then a third one that would be a joke. And then a lot of times we wouldn't write a third one, and then I'd just fumble on stage for a while.
It's sort of your brand.
And we'd do a slideshow. Resulting in the famous image of him in front of a big screen that says "Kill white people with impunity" that he shared on social media, when people genuinely were responding like, "You think you can kill white people?"
Oh fuck! Did you guys talk about when he picked a fight with Andrew Breitbart on Twitter?
No.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, this would have been like 2012, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just like shit posting Andrew Breitbart. It was like, I think it was less than a year before he died, but like he was just shit posting Andrew Breitbart, and Breitbart would do this thing where he would like retweet people who were hating on him on Twitter, and then like just like, go my pretties, go, you know, like just like unleash his chuds on them. And when that like Raghav got retweeted by Andrew Breitbart, and all these people were coming at him, and he was so fucking excited. He was thrilled about it. Like, some people might have been like, oh, this is kind of scary, but he's just like, oh, this is hilarious. These idiots hate me so much.
What did he say about that?
I can't remember. Like, we can probably track down that tweet, but Yeah, Sitrick's on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably find it. What's this Potbelly thing?
Okay. So this happened on this was Tuesday of this past week. And I was just like I've just been like 2.5 hours late to work like every day for the last week, and just going in looking like total shit and making direct eye contact with everybody.
I've been doing that too, but I was also doing that before.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. I'm just like, this is too much power. I don't know how I'm gonna kick out of. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna stop doing this now that I know that I can.
David's been going to work like Jake Flores.
I've just been jaking it up, but so like it's just, I mean, we've talked about this. Like everyone at this table has talked to me about this. Like, it's just like how fucking surreal everything feels after you experience a loss like this, and it's just like people just don't like. I fucking ran into a dude that I know from DC comedy at like a bar that Sitrick and I were at with Kath Barbadoro the other night, and he was like apparently the only comedian that I know who did not know what had happened. And he's like Tveite, good to see you. How you been? And I'm like, whoa. But so I got. On Tuesday morning, I got an email from, and for the purposes of this story, you do have to know that I'm a member of the rewards program at the Potbelly Sandwich Works. But I got an email from Potbelly at 7:30 on Tuesday morning that said, "Don't call it a comeback. Call it 15% off your next order." And it's just like a deal that they're doing there, and it just like in context, it struck me as very funny. So I posted a tweet with a screenshot of the email where I said, you know, there are so many people who have been so good to me in the past few days, but I would just like to thank the Potbelly Rewards program for being here in my time of grieving and need.
Don't call it a comeback.
You replied to that. You're like, why would you call it a comeback?
Oh yeah, lunch. What a comeback.
And... Whoa.
Yeah, that just happens.
Man, a really cool guy just went by.
That was Rob Zombie driving by in the Dragula.
There's a Dragula outside.
You're digging through the ditches and burning through the witches.
Dragula's outside. Dracula's inside.
So and that would have been the end of it. It was just like I thought that would be a funny thing to tweet, but like I didn't tag them or anything, but then the Potbelly Twitter account liked that tweet. So then I posted a screenshot of like the notification that they had liked it, and I said, "Hey, at Potbelly, my friend died. How about some free frickin' mac and cheese or something?" And then someone who follows me on Twitter was like, "Wait, I was on board before I remembered you live in New York. Get a fucking sub from a deli." And I said, "I work in Union Square, and it's a total fast casual hellscape. Also, shut up, dude. Potbelly's good." And then Potbelly liked 2 out of the 3 tweets in that
got
thread.
Some intern's attention.
Yeah, like just whoever their community manager is or whatever. But they did not like. They liked every tweet in the thread except the one where I was like, "Hey, could you like hook me up? Like I'm sad." So then I posted another tweet that said, "My best friend is dead, and yet the at Potbelly Sandwich Corporation refuses to offer me a free bacon, macaroni, and cheese. A cruel reminder that capitalism reduces us all to the mere sum of the labor and currency it can extract from us." And then I left for work, and I was on the train. And like 20 minutes later, I got a reply to the first tweet, the one just about the mac and cheese, from the Potbelly Twitter account, where they said, "Well, this feels like a scam, but you defended our honor with, well, honor. So DM at Potbelly Service and we'll get you something nice." And then like another 5 minutes passes, and then they replied to the second tweet where I called out the concept of capitalism, and they said, "Somebody didn't check their replies and is probably lying." but it's okay, we get hangry too. And like I was talking to someone about this, and it's just like, even if you get like 10 of these a day at the Potbelly Twitter account, it's very risky to like come in with that kind of energy. I think. Like, why are you so aggressive, Potbelly?
You're lying about your friend.
Did they give you a free sandwich?
They give me a free cookie.
Potbelly.
Compromise.
Yeah, motherfuckers. I will say this: their sides are wildly underrated.
Okay.
Is that
Fair
sort of
is
a little
fair.
bit funnier if you imagine an actual pot-bellied pig doing the response for all the Twitter?
I mean, most things are, I think.
Well, that's why you're so mad about the capitalism dig.
Yeah, he's wearing a little
pig.
wearing a little top hat.
A little top hat, and he read that tweet and went something like, oh.
He ruffled his little sash that says
Thomas Nast illustration.
Yeah, our fans know pigs be snuffling.
Oh man, that's funny. I mean, that's in the true spirit of Raghav, fucking with brands and shit online.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This is his whole thing.
He was Banksy, by the way.
Yeah.
I feel like we can say it now.
Shout out to a real one.
People are gonna figure it out when there's no more, stencils of Ronald McDonald fucking Wendy or whatever going up around Brooklyn.
Also, I can't find the Breitbart tweet, but I did find a tweet where he just says, "One time I wrote a blog post that got Andrew Breitbart so upset that he died a year later."
Oh, okay, so maybe he didn't come at him on Twitter. Maybe it was something that he
Yeah,
was
I think it was a Minnesota Daily.
Yeah,
thing.
probably, yeah.
Came at him on MySpace.
Was he happy?
You're out of the top 8.
How did he feel about Breitbart's passing?
Oh, he was crushed.
I hate to lose a friend.
Oh, man, he seems so healthy.
Yeah. Potbelly gave him a free cookie. Andrew Breitbart passed.
They're like, I don't think he really died, but okay.
Andrew Breitbart, that Supreme Court judge who died, all of them crushing Raghav.
He's up in heaven right now, screaming at John McCain.
Well, does anybody else have a particularly spicy Raghav story, or should we sort of pour one out and do the damn thing?
You have anything, Jeff?
I'm a man of few words. I don't have many good storyteller. I can't do Raghav justice.
It's a good thing you do stand-up comedy and podcast appearances. Yeah, all right. Well, I mean, we'll obviously continue to talk about Raghav fucking probably forever on this podcast as long as it exists, until Lauren Duca destroys it with a fucking Scud missile, or, we all get individually canceled, or, I don't know, in the spirit of Raghav, we all quit the show or something.
Individually, slowly, over time, sending messages around.
He did pick a hell of a way to tell you he didn't want to do this anymore.
We've heard a lot about the messages that he would send people about how he was quitting. I do remember one day he just messaged me. He was like, "I think I can't afford to quit the pod, and it's really embarrassing."
Yeah, I kind of thought that's what was happening with one of the times he told me he was going to quit, because I was like, man, you got to really hate this to not just want free $500 or whatever the fuck he was at that point in terms of the divvy. I don't know, man. That really does like kind of bother me, because like I fucking loved Raghav, and like we really tried to see eye to eye on stuff, but like also at the same time, what's so like confusing about him is that you hear this stuff and you go, fuck, man, he really had a problem with me, but then he also would like DM me secret shit about other people and stuff, and so it's like no one's really on any
It was a great microcosm of how he felt about everything he was engaged in.
It's
That's
in all
what's so
directions.
beautiful.
It's just how he related to people. I've been saying this over and over again, but you weren't really Raghav's friend until you had said something he didn't like, and he had screenshot it and sent it to 400 people.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just like, that's always who he was. I mean, like, from when I first met him, like, if there's one thing that defined him, he didn't feel like he fit in anywhere, like he and his parents were from different cultures, basically. I mean, he was born in India, but he grew up entirely in the United States, and his parents were very like strict and Indian, and like that's on top of just being like one of the few brown kids in a lily white suburb and stuff. And I really don't think he found a peer group that he really respected and related to before he moved to New York. And it's just like, this all sucks so fucking bad, but I'm really glad that he had that. I mean, like, just seeing the impact that he made on so many fucking people has been incredible in the past week. It's like as much as this all sucks, it has brought the best out of so many people, and I do want that to keep going, you know. And if there's one thing that he was good at, it was staying in touch with the people that he cares about. And like that's been my biggest takeaway from this whole week.
And you can kind of see it like already this week with just like his friends. As like I know I've experienced it where so many people are like feel it. Like he took up so much social space for so many people that we knew, that you see like friends reaching out to like hang out, and like new Facebook Messenger groups starting, and like people like just trying to communicate more because everybody's feeling that void of like just having this person that we were all talking to and that we all cared so much about.
Yeah, and he did know a ton of people like across the comedy scene, across different worlds, and like it was never, but he never had like kind of this false gregariousness that other people have. It was always like a very genuine, like, good to see you, like I know this person, I'm gonna clock what they're about, and like with everyone he met.
Yeah, it's weird, especially him being from like Minnesota, where there's that whole Minnesota nice thing. Like he kind of seemed like he was maybe in opposition to it ideologically at sometimes. Like, and that's what I kind of liked about him, was that, you know, you knew that he meant what he was saying to you, because it was not candy coated and bullshit ever. It was often combative and, you know, confrontational or whatever. But there's no reason to be like mistrustful or whatever, I guess, you know?
He was the sweetest bitch you'll ever meet.
God damn it. God damn it if it ain't true. It's a shame he's canceled, really.
The Raghav missers have logged on.
All right, well.
If you can't handle me at my screenshotting things you say, you don't deserve me at my immigration report.
You don't deserve me at my showing you screenshots of other people's stuff. Ugh, man. All right. Well, R.I.P. to a real one. Rest in motherfucking power, Raghav Mehta. This is Pod Damn America. You know where to find us on the internet. You know how to find all our things. We have a Patreon, whatever.
We will not be doing plugs on the memorial episode. Goodbye.
Oh, God damn it, man.
Just delivering a fiery sermon at his funeral and then plugging my Twitter and come to paid protest and all this shit. Yoko is on some fucking day. Raghav, love you, buddy. If you're listening to podcasts and wherever you are,
I hope you're not listening to podcasts.
Listening to podcasts.
That's a terrible future.
Yeah, that sucks. I hope you never have to hear this. All right, that's it.
Bye.
Bye.
Is dark. Every light on this side of the town, suddenly it all went down. Now we'll all be brothers of the fossil fire of the sun. The is to be a secret out of the past. I will resurrect it. I'll have a good go at it. I'll streak his blood across my beat. Dust my feathers with his ash. Feel his ghost breathing down my back. I will try, no, whatever I try. I will be gone, but not forever. I will try, no, whatever I try. I will be gone, but not forever. Real truth about it is, no one gets it right. Real truth about it is,